Hello, one and all, and welcome to Clinic Hours. I feel like there's a usual kind of standard... shoot. Thanks, Good. I'm on it. There's... yeah, I'm sure there's a way for me to do this. Easily and simply. Hello, there's nothing... Oh, yeah, of course, though, of course. Let's do this here. RPGClinic... Oh, sorry. Clinic Hours. Building NPCs. Thank you very much. We're going to call this talk shows? Talk shows and podcasts. All right. Canadian role play. Here we go. It's coming up, folks. This is my usual intro, actually. My usual intro is me not being able to figure out what I'm doing. Okay, good, Kung Fu Fenris, I'm glad. John just kind of wings it. So first and foremost, I just want to apologize. A little bit of a delay. Specifically, I got it all set up, and I was using the wrong green screen technology. Sorry, what I mean is I didn't wallpaper the wall behind me in this color in time. I was using the wrong... I was like, why isn't it... it's not grabbing my green screen. What's going on? Which sounds like a euphemism. And I swear to you, it is not. Hello! Evening all. Yeah, oh, okay, Gilligood, excellent. Sorry, not excellent that you have to go, but, like, I'm so glad you'll catch the VOD. I have thoughts. I imagine you will also have thoughts, which you can return to me at any time. Crosshair, I have nothing to say about that. Osab is correct. If you ever watch me on my own Twitch channel, which I will take a shameless moment to plug, twitch.tv/BiffTheBaus, B-A-W-S-S, you will see that my improv skills are often on display. If you also watch me on this channel on RPGClinic on Sundays, you'll find everyone's improv on display. Hey! Thank you very much, Captain. My Captain. Oh, good stuff. Okay. Folks, yes, as you can see, the topic today is building NPCs. Oh no, Requiem! Oh, I meant for it to be a quote, but there's no bot today either. Oh, I know, what a disaster. Here's what happens. When I don't run this from the usual location, everything goes to shit. I don't have featured chat working. It's not working for me. It's a whole thing. However, what isn't going to go to shit today is our topic, building NPCs. How's that for a segue? It was at that moment that I could see the disappointment on his face. I'm very happy to see everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. The topic today is building NPCs. Specifically, don't you dare, Crosshair, don't you dare! I'm still salty about it. Specifically within the context of our... if we can grab a link to the Discord, because I imagine the command will... Well, no, sorry, I know the command won't work, unfortunately. Specifically in the context of the fact that RPGClinic will, very soon, TM, be hosting a real-time, 24/7 Discord RPG server called Disconcordia. Set in Montreal in present day, we're going to be playing Changeling the Dreaming 20th Anniversary Edition, set in the same universe as Changeling the Streaming, but as we are all aware, you don't need to have watched all 137 episodes in order to enjoy and to play. Oh, thanks, Crosshair, I really appreciate it. Oh boy. Well, now this is interesting, Kung Fu Fenris. So... Hey, that works, Crosshair, we'll take it. Yeah, so we're going to be discussing the concept of building NPCs in the context of playing in this live text-based Discord server for Changeling the Dreaming 20th Anniversary Edition. If I was doing a building NPCs in the context of, like, I'm about to run a one-shot for RPGClinic, or, like, on the side, off-stream, I'm going to be running a D&D 5th campaign for my friends. I'm not, but, like, if I was, this would be a very different conversation. So, the very first thing I want to start with, because I think it's important, is... disclaimer. Dis my process. Dis ma me not your process. Was that even English? What was that? This might not be your process for creating NPCs. I think one of the beautiful things about role-playing, and we've discussed this a whole lot, is that anyone can do it. It sounds really stupid, but I'm serious. It's a hobby that should be accessible and open to all. The only, I mean, kind of like life, right? The only limiting Pook does it. If Pook can do it, you can do it. There you go. What I mean by that, though, is your actions are the only thing that limit you from being able to roleplay. Specifically, are you gonna treat other people with respect? Are you gonna aim to have fun in whatever way you have fun? Are you okay with the idea of, like, discussing things with other people and telling the best stories? Holy shit, role-playing's for you. Yeah, no, okay. So Kung Fu Fenris actually does make a really good point. Anyway, okay, no, that's not today's topic, but you do make a good point. Okay, I use the everyone sense then in, like, a relatively global sense. However, in the context of designing and creating NPCs, my process is going to be very different from John's, who usually runs the games on this channel, versus Liz's, versus Kate's, versus Pook's, versus Kung Fu Fenris's, versus Cross's, versus anybody, Matt Mercer, anybody who's running Abria, over on Exandria Unlimited. Everyone's going to have a different way of doing this. And we're going to get into this in a moment, because there's multiple reasons for needing to create an NPC. Either flesh them out beforehand, create them on the fly, a little quick and dirty action. John's done a number of streams on Clinic Hours, designing NPCs for, say, Exalt Twitch Academy. My players keep asking, and I just flat out lie to them. Well, so we're going to get into the whys and wherefores, or at least my thoughts on the whys and wherefores. This is hence the disclaimer, folks. It's going to be my thoughts on the whys and wherefores of how to craft and build NPCs. And if we have time, we'll design an NPC for Disconcordia today. That is one thing that I have not yet done as a terrible human and storyteller for Disconcordia, because I kind of figured that, as we're saying here in the chat, I will probably be building some of them on the fly. Oh shit, we need someone to come and do this? Like, bam, I got it, don't worry about it. Oh, I've always wanted to do this, boom. But you also need to be able to build them in advance. So, that was my disclaimer. We're gonna move on from here. What game is it? Obviously. This is the first question you have to ask yourself, because it's going to inform a lot of the following decisions that you make. Oh, something smells really good. Damn it. Now I'm hungry. Also, of course, I don't have feature chat active, but if you do have questions throughout the stream, feel free to drop them in chat. I'll try to save them separately. We'll go from there. That is correct. Crosshair is correct. Golden rule, what game are you playing in, and go from there. Or a Calcum rule, appearance first. That's correct, Requiem, yes. I just liked the sound of saying it multiple times. That's how you know it's a Scott Humphrey Clinic Hours stream, because it's just a stream of consciousness from my mouth. I do have notes, I swear I'm pointing at them right now. The very first thing that I'm doing when I'm thinking of NPCs, what game are we playing in? Like, obviously, yes, what system? I'm not going to go and stat out, you know, like, I don't know, a goblin from D&D, from, like, Pathfinder or something, and be like, oh, yeah, I'll just toss him into my game of 10 candles. It's not going to work, obviously. Kind of goes without saying. But more broadly as well, in that episode, in that session 0, that, oh, hello, Thanatoasted. Oh, what? I should mention, of course, our beloved John and Zen Robo are on vacation this week, so guess who's running Clinic Hours with half the tech? That's not meant... Yeah, you all understand. So, here, I'll just go back. Well, no, I won't. The topic today, Thanatoasted, is building NPCs. If we have time, we're going to build an NPC for Disconcordia as well. Nice, Crosshair. Half the tech. In that session 0, when the storyteller, you presumably, have figured out from your players or found out from your players what they want to be doing in the game. Not just like what tone of game is it, but also like what do they think they want to accomplish. Like if you're playing a swashbuckling adventure, but one of your characters quick tangent because I think this is hilarious. No context required, but like I heard this in a game run for young children once. One of the characters, all he wanted to do was have a nice glass of milk by the river. That's all he wanted to do. Now, the context of that, of course, is that like he wanted to do that after having, I don't know, beaten the dragon or saved the princess or saved the kingdom or whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you're playing in a swashbuckling adventure and your character's like, I really just want to like grow potatoes and raise a family. Cool. You know, there's a bit of I have some questions about how those are going to go together. So not just tone, but character goals are going to figure into this conversation. What is the game that you are playing? Tone can include adventure, horror, romance, teen drama, see Exalt Witch Academy, wacky comedy. I mean, hell, I could go on forever. I'm sure you guys could all go on together as well. I remember this weird conversation with Liz where she realized making Sophia a bit more superficial was a good way to keep asking about appearance. Boom. Nice. One shot, make it dirty. Perfect. So, yeah, what game is it is the first question we have to ask, because how your NPCs are going to figure into that game is going to depend on the kind of game that you're playing. Well, this is the question, Thanatoasted. And this is something I'm going to add in immediately. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, because that's actually an excellent point. Somebody in the Discord, I'm just going to check really quick, brought up the... I'm going to find it here. Was it Requiem? It was Raparth. Raparth brought up a series of excellent questions about introducing NPCs, which we're going to get to a little later. But, like, the question is, what's your goal as the storyteller as well? Overall, I imagine your goal as a storyteller is to tell great stories, involve your players, and make sure that everyone's having fun. Not in that order. Make sure everyone's safe. Not in that order. No, like you as the person, not the sort of omniscient storyteller. You as a person sitting at the table, because the storyteller is a player too, which I realize is the third motto of RPGClinic. It is what it is. No, it's perfect, Kung Fu Fenris. It's perfect. What you're saying about Sophia and appearance. Great question. Or great point. What's your goal in creating this NPC? We're going to come in a little later into, like, ways into creating them. But, TT! Thank you very much. Thank you very much, actually. Congratulations on the birth of your 9-month old... Congratulations on the birth of your sub baby, I guess is what I'm saying. Really appreciate it. Requiem, yeah. Goal 1, be safe, be fun. Goal 2, question mark. So, in Disconcordia, you know what? I'm going to jump straight to it because I think this is going to be important. I wonder if this is going to show up well. Probably not. No. Yay! TT, I'm so pleased. The oath that all players must swear, because it's on the first or second page of the player guide. I'm going to read it because I think it's important. For Disconcordia, I swear that I shall do my best to make this game fun for everyone, not just for myself, or may the dreaming fry my Discord connection. I love to take that sort of mentality to heart when I do anything, which sounds like a flex, and like, fine, maybe it is, I don't know. I like to take that mentality to heart when we're role-playing at all. Sometimes it is your moment in the spotlight, and sometimes it isn't. And that's not what the point of today's stream is. But if the oath that we must all swear as players in the game is, I swear that I'm going to do my best to make this game fun for everybody, not just myself, then that's going to inform my goal as a storyteller, creating NPCs. I want to create NPCs that are going to help other people have fun. Sometimes having fun is having an aimless character to just ask questions of, and they always respond with a riddle, say. Sometimes having fun is going to be to introduce a character whose goal is just to make everyone laugh. Sometimes it's going to be to introduce a new plot point, an emergency, a crisis. Sometimes it's going to be to introduce a romantic interest. Exactly, Requiem. Yes, that is included. So I'm going to take that off for a moment. What's going to inform me when building NPCs, specifically for Disconcordia, a 24/7 Discord role-playing server for Changeling the Dreaming 20th Anniversary Edition, is going to be the fact that it's that game, Changeling the Dreaming 20th Anniversary Edition, the tone of it, what people are trying to do, and my goal, which is to help other people have fun. Let's talk a little bit about Disconcordia. We did, Kung Fu Fenris, you're right. That has been addressed on the Discord. I'm not going to go into it here. I can't remember what the consensus was. I'm going to have to ask my fellow RPGClinic members. It did not exist in the world of Changeling the Streaming. I don't remember what the deal is in regards to Disconcordia. However, oh, holy shit, Thanatoasted. Well, Thanatoasted, may I refer you to our YouTube where John and Pook went into a lot more detail as to the overview of what Changeling the Dreaming is. Cool. Cool. Okay, well, I mean, I'm not going to be able to explain everything for sure, but I will just say the following. Changeling the Dreaming is a game set in the world of darkness, which is our world today, but darker, a little darker. Changeling the Dreaming is a game of fantasy, modern fantasy specifically. Thank you, Crosshair. Okay. In this game, people will take on the role of the role of changelings. Perfect, Requiem. That's what I figured, because that was kind of where we were at. Like, we wouldn't introduce it now if it wasn't introduced then, blah, blah, you know. In the game of Changeling, you take on the role of a dream, a changeling, which is a fey soul that has been awakened inside a mortal's body. Changelings are, fey souls, which are based on certain concepts of dreams. So dreams of hunger, dreams of rage, dreams of strength, dreams of beauty, etc., etc., etc. Okay, right, Crosshair, thank you. Exactly. As a changeling, you have a mortal human body, but you also have the ability, once awakened, to see the changeling world, which is kind of superimposed on top of the real one. So it's not like a portal that you step through and there's like a whole other... It's not Alice in Wonderland. It's in and on top of our own real world. You can see things that other people can't. You can use magic to affect both the real world and the fake chimerical world. Dreams of play! Oh, I love it. I love it! If the keyword here is dream, then that implies a certain degree of fantasticalness of your characters. Obviously, changelings can also be quite grounded, and I would argue they should be. My PC in Changeling the Streaming was Brom, a troll grump, those words will have more meaning for us later in the stream, who had a whole life as a questing, noble, famous knight, but was struck with amnesia for a reason that was revealed during the stream, and then started a new life as a father of two, working as a janitor in Montreal. His journey through the game was recapturing his, well, the dream that is who he is, reawakening the sort of like the protector inside himself, you know? Kung Fu Fenris, this is a good question, and I'm hoping that maybe I know so much happened in Changeling. Anyway, I'm hoping that today will inspire a little bit, because the things I'm going to focus on will probably be different from the things John are going to focus on. Okay, Disconcordia. If we're talking about what kind of game we're playing, we need to talk a little bit about where we're playing, etc. Requiem says, is it safe to say then that when a mortal dreams, it's them kind of viewing the chimerical world? I'm going to say yes, Requiem. It's not the same, of course, but because changelings can, in fact, enter the dreaming, the place where people dream and affect things. But I would say it's a good analogy, right? You can access that same kind of fantastical world. Kung Fu Fenris, I think, is probably a bit more accurate, but I like it as a analogy here. Disconcordia is set in a commoner freehold, freehold being a place of magic and, well, of glamour. It's built inside a currently derelict theater, which does exist in Montreal, called the Empress, in Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, which is a neighborhood in the west end of Montreal that all of the players of Changeling the Streaming know intimately. I lived around the corner from it for a number of years. Did we do Ellie Spot? I think we did Ellie Spot. Hello! Welcome. I'm glad to have you here for RPG Clinic Hours, where today we are talking about building NPCs. The Empress is a theater. It's constructed in the Egyptian Revival style, which means it has, big think like, big palaces in Alexandria, or sort of like maybe what you would imagine of like pyramids and tombs from the Mummy, or whatever. Our Lady of Grace. Although, I do know a bluegrass band in Montreal called Notre-Dame de Grâce. Which is pretty good, if I do say so myself. I did not make it up. The freehold, Starcloth, is a freehold of emotional expression, which means that its focus... I actually couldn't find where in 20th Anniversary they describe the different kinds of freeholds. I could only find, like, thank you, Crosshair! Boom! Oh my god, please tell me it has, like, the shitty... Oh! Actually, that's a pretty nice picture. Phew! It is currently derelict in the real world. Thank you, Krister. Thank you so much. Well, anyway, I'll have to find it on a more specific basis. But, like, I couldn't find where it kind of lists them is all. Anyway. But what I do know is that it is a freehold of emotional expression, which means that it is dedicated to helping people express their inner emotions. Which makes sense for a theater. We go to the theater not just to watch something, because we can do that in our homes. We go to the theater to be with other people and experience something live in front of us. I'm not going to turn this, I swear I'm not going to turn this into a seminar on theater. As you all know, my degree is in theater performance. I obviously feel very strongly about it. The idea of playing in a game set in a theater is absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait. Currently created NPCs, I know, Crosshair. Well, actually, I'll also point out, go check it out on our YouTube channel as well. When I ran a one-shot of 10 Candles for RPG Clinic, I set it in a theater, because I guess I just love that sort of thing. Krister, yeah, beautiful. Thank you. I know I also have, thank you. Yes, I have the Book of Freeholds, but not open here. Here we go. Perfect. Freeholders are according to certain rights. Oh, no, hang on. That's not quite right. Cool. Okay, great. So, the NPCs that are currently sort of like listed or created by John in the context of the Freehold Starcloth. The Freeholder is a Raccoon Puka, Zoe Voluz. There's a technical director, Penny Spline, a Knocker, Grump, and Edgewick, who is the janitor, who is also a Slua, Grump, I believe. Sorry, Zoe is also a Wilder, I should have mentioned. There's a lot of words I just threw out there. I'll just quickly jump in. We're going to look at this a bit more when we actually build a character, but an NPC. Ooh! Maybe it'll just be my PC. Maybe I'm not going to storytell, John. Maybe. I'm just kidding around. But maybe I'll just play. I'm kidding. Excuse me. So the freeholder is the person who holds the freehold, the owner. A puka is a specific kind of changeling, one who has an affinity with a certain kind of animal, a raccoon in this case. Pukas are tricksters, liars, confidants, that sort of thing. Yeah, that's correct, Thanatoasted. I mean, that's not the only thing, but like, you know, that's definitely a big part of the kith. Lying is so misleading. It takes a lot of willpower to tell the whole truth. How's that? Classic Pukajutsu. And then Pukajutsu's head explodes. I love it. The technical it's the freeholder. Bam. So the technical director is the person who, of course, oversees all of the technical implementations in a theater. This would be the person who hires technicians for a show. This is the person who would oversee like the hanging of lights, the installing of sound systems, would probably interface with the people who build sets and props, that sort of thing. Penny Spline, a knocker. Grump is a knocker is another kind of changeling who was the wrong button. Sorry. Knockers are craftspeople, but they find it very difficult to construct something perfect. There's always going to be a little bit of a flaw. That flaw is also present in them, in that they release strings of profanity at all times. It's great. Oh, that's kind of fun, Kung Fu Fenris. Wait, do you mean Brahm was a Korrid? Just kidding around. And Edgewick, the Slua janitor. Slua are, again, another kind of changeling. They would be not nightmares per se, but they would definitely be dreams of like the creepy crawly, the unknown, the spooky, the ghostly, perhaps. Slua are creatures of the night and of the shadows, for the most part. They cannot speak above a whisper, but they are able to, anyway, freak people out and do weird shit with their bodies. It's true, Kung Fu Fenris. Okay. That's what we know about Disconcordia. I mean, we know a lot more about it, but like, so far, that's what we know. It's set in a theater. It's a commoner freehold. We have a few NPCs that have been created, but there are many more roles still available, and PCs are going to be, well, changelings that hang out at the freehold and make their own fun and find things to do. Quests, missions, things that they want to get into. Let's get into, I think, the meat and potatoes of what I want to talk about today. If we're talking about building NPCs, we have to talk about the way in, right? Let's talk about that spark of inspiration. Because this is what I find when people are like, oh, I want to write a play. Where do I start? Yeah, I want to build an NPC. I want to run a game. Where do I start? One of the best lessons I've learned in the last like number of years, and I've learned it a heck of a lot on this channel playing games. Sometimes you just gotta do it, and it's not gonna work. Not everything's gonna work all the time. We take risks on Clinic, on RPGClinic, in the game, and outside of the game too sometimes, and in our lives. I think generally people respect risk-taking a lot more than you might expect. Obviously, sometimes a risk is going to call... Ooh, Pukajutsu. I am glad. That's... Come on, you got this, Pook. You've got this. So... But sometimes you just have to take a deep breath and dive in. If you want to build an NPC, if you want to... Or create a character, perhaps a PC in this case... well, okay. Let's talk about that for a quick second before I do this. Because I think this is an important detail that I want to get into. Or a topic briefly. We're freeforming it today, guys. We're freeforming it. If you're going to be playing in a game, and you're going to be one of the player characters, that is different, of course, from being a storyteller and controlling a number of NPCs. Non-player characters. Of course, there's a big difference. For me, that difference is quite stark, and it boils down to the following. A player character needs to be able to grow and hold your interest for as long as the game continues. If it stops being interesting to play, I'm not saying like throw away their lives. I'm not saying it like that. But I'm very happy to do some hashtag real talk. There were moments throughout Changeling, the streaming, because we played for a long time, where I kind of felt at a loss. Braum didn't have a goal. I felt like I was just playing at the same shtick over and over. I was like, what do I spend experience on? Well, I wouldn't go up in this. I wouldn't go up in that. I'm already at 5 in this. I'm already at 5 in that. I ran into walls a few times. I can't identify those for you. It doesn't really matter. The point is, as a player, I found ways to reinvigorate my desire to want to play Braum. Because if I couldn't, I would have stopped playing Braum. And John and I would have talked about that, and he would have gone, okay, what do you want to play? You know what I mean? Like, we would have had that conversation. A non-player character, however, is different. Non-player characters are, in a word, disposable. Unless all the player characters love them so much that they become indispensable. So Kung Fu Fenris, you do bring up a good point. And again, we're not talking about Changeling the streaming today. We're talking about PC or NPCs. But that's true. That was a big goal and accomplishment for Braum. And what then? Well, I've already accomplished everything I want to in life. I have 2 sons. I have a partner. I have a couple of exes when I remember them. Kung Fu Fenris is advocating to kill their darlings even harder. I'm a nice person. You can be replaced. Yeah, Flavienne, I'm talking to you. Sorry, that's just for Gillett Good for later. I am kidding. Obviously. My God. Scott, whoa, okay. Tune into Exaltwitch Academy on Sundays at 1800. We are playing Exalted Essence. 3 dragon-blooded take on the world after their school has been burnt down. Things are goddamn afoot in that game, folks, and it's a lot of fun, so tune in for that. Thank you. Pitch over. Very good point, Kung Fu Fenris. So I'm gonna be brave, and I'm gonna say NPCs are disposable. If it doesn't interest you, you can introduce another. As a storyteller, you have that privilege. They should be... I'm with you, Requiem. I think he was just talking out of his butt there, but you never know. Special, that's correct. Okay. What weighs into creating an NPC? Let's get into it. Sometimes you need an NPC to do something. It can be as simple as like, here's your horses, my lord. That's a non-player character. Jakey. I'm kidding. Again, it's the Exalted Nexus stuff. All right, Kung Fu Fenris. I do get very distracted by the chat. I'm no John Verrill here. NPCs can fill a need. They can fill a need in the context of, you've navigated the story into a more political section and your players do not have the political savvy to pull it off. You can introduce an NPC or have an NPC become good at politicking and discussions. That's fair. So I'm going to turn down the music a little bit for myself there. In a more short-term basis, you need someone to oppose your NPCs. You have that really squat, red-haired dude stand up on the other side of the room, and he's like, no, you're out of order, or whatever. If you are playing a scene or a chapter of a campaign or a whole campaign, and you identify something that the story needs, that will presumably help you to inspire what the NPC needs to be. The trap here, of course, is that the character becomes one note or one-dimensional, because if the need that they are filling is the need for a comic relief character, then they just become a comic relief character. They don't have any depth. If the need is someone to oppose the PCs, they're always just going to oppose the PCs, and that's it. A prime example, in my opinion, actually, sorry, I'm overwhelmed with options, but this is the one I was at right away. Reggie from Changeling the Streaming was a brilliant NPC who was was he the Chatelaine of Sapphire Eye? He helped the freeholder of Sapphire Eye. He was an administrative assistant, essentially. He was smug, and he was self-righteous. And I feel like the need was to have someone who was going to try to slow our political roll, as it were, and oppose us. And so John created an NPC who was unlikable and irredeemable. No offense. No offense. Seneschal. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Oh God! Oh no! Krister's here! Oh no! Oh no! I forgot! Krister, please forgive me. Forgive me. I guess I do want to be specific. I feel like in that moment the character was meant to be annoying to us three. John knows how to push our buttons a little bit, and that's a good quality in a storyteller. We also know how to push his. There you go. Requiem Lost tends to see NPCs falling into one of two categories, named and unnamed. Fair. Named characters tend to have significance, and they stick around for a longer period of time. Nameless NPCs are just there to fill a need or a role. Exactly. But that can be an inspiration for an NPC that might even need more depth. I am going to attempt to fulfill all three of the following categories when I build my NPC in just a few moments. That is also correct, the crosshair. Oh, NFL, I've been seeing those dice on Twitter, and they are beautiful. Welcome to RPG Clinic Hours. Today we're discussing building NPCs, specifically for Disconcordia, our Changeling the Dreaming Discord game. Launching soon, TM. Another possible inspiration for an NPC, a way in, if you will, to building one, I mean, is a story hook. And I don't mean a plot point in the game. That would be filling a need, in my opinion. You know, if there's a plot point in the game and you're like, oh shoot, they're gonna have to meet the queen, I better build the queen. That's a need that you're filling, right? Oh, I need an antagonist, like that, you know. This is more, and I think this is probably how most people design PCs. Probably. I'm kind of this half with the next point that I'll be getting into momentarily. This would be a story hook within the character's life themselves. And it's usually prefaced with the question, what if, right? Something Marvel's what if. No spoilers, please. Thank you. What if a changeling ran all the technical components of the theater? Fine. You know, what would happen if a very big, strong knight lost his sense of honor and purpose and memory? I need a puka with a glimmer in his eyes and hop in his step and a dream. You got it, Requiem. A story hook is essentially any personal fact or emotional quirk or trait that you feel is interesting to play. So when we're designing, when we're designing NPCs, a story hook might be, I'm going to introduce this character because I want them to stick around, they're going to have a name, etc. I really want to introduce a character who was a Solar Exalt and now is an Abyssal Exalt, but doesn't like it. Say. That will probably become a plot point, see Exalt Twitch Nexus. And anyway, I don't want to comment on that character's, what was going on in their head, but that's interesting, right? I want to build a character who is the opposite of a puka. It's maybe not as good. Hey, boom, Kaiser is correct. What if a slug ran an elevator? What would that look like? You know, this is the classic improv game of yes and, right? No, it's not. Anyway. You take what you I mean, you're only playing the game with yourself, but like, I'm gonna use the NPC I'm kind of like thinking about is still very tentative, because, and I'll tell you, this was the hook. I said, what if this kind of character always did this? I know I'm being super vague. I'll get to it in a moment. And then I bounced it off somebody else. They were like, oh yeah, this would probably happen. And I would go, okay, boom. That's already that I've set up a series of actions and reactions that the character might have in any given situation. That tells me already what kind of kith I want to play, what kind of seeming I want to play. It's a whole thing. Some NPCs are just there for the memes. That's correct, Requiem. That would be to fill a need. Memery. The greatest need of my life. Max. Got Max here on clinic hours. I think he's just chilling on the chair over there. It's okay. A story hook would be if something occurs to you that would be interesting to build a character's story and life around. A goal that they might have. A place that they're coming from that they want to go back to. A place that they're coming from that they want to leave forever. A person that they're looking for. There was an NPC in Changeling the Streaming that was looking for their love. That's a very simple hook, but it's a hook nonetheless. What kind of character might be looking for their love? Well, any kind, really. Love is a human universal. But what does that inspire in you? And then we keep playing the game of making connections until we go from there. However, sometimes that's not enough, right? Sometimes having that story hook, you're like, oh, I really want to play a character who really loves plants. It's more of a quirk. Why do they love plants? I would immediately say, okay, why do they love plants, right? And then we would start talking a little bit about the reasons for that. And then we might get to a story hook. Oh, they feel that they can only love plants because humans are too complicated. Great. Or perhaps the other direction, right? Yeah, boom. Requiem's character likes plants because they're green and edible. Easy. Or this character really loves plants because they want to nurture something. And plant life is the most complicated kind of life on Earth. It's interesting to me, Kung Fu Fenris, and I hope you don't mind me saying so, but like, you know, we've known each other for a long time. I know how close you are to the game of werewolf and to the concepts of werewolf, and I am very curious to know how much your PC, because I do believe you want to play in Disconcordia. Sorry, I know you do, and I believe that your PC. I'm curious how close your PC is going to be to the like ideal werewolf kind of character that you would love to play if you would build a new one. Sometimes the story hook for an NPC isn't enough, right? Because you say, I love plants, or I have no good answer. That's okay. Sometimes you create a role for the character. Sometimes you say, oh, I think my character's... this NPC is going to love books. That's going to serve the story because we are searching for a tome. Or the characters all love knowledge in different ways, and this person will have a lot of knowledge. But then maybe that's not enough. Maybe then you're having trouble going further. Okay, well, what kind of person loves books? Well, any kind of person loves books. A mechanical hook is another way into creating an NPC. This is half of the way that I like to create my player characters on RPGClinic as well. I usually look at what stats I had a lot of in the previous game, and I go, okay, 0 across the board there. What are the other stats that I can dump into? And then see where that brings me. One way of building characters in Dungeons and Dragons, or any sort of game that has stats like this, often you use a point buy system. You have a certain number of points and you distribute them as you wish. Oh, look, look who's here, everybody. Oh, there he is. Crosshair, this one's just for you. Wow, you show up great, buddy. Wow. Is it time for... Oh, God. All right, bye-bye. What a cutie. He sure is, Crosshair. He sure is. Sometimes, though... He did. What a cutie. I mean, NFL, you're actually not incorrect. I'm thinking about it already. And I'm like, oh, appearance will be 0. Okay, sorry. It's later. What was I going to say? Right. I feel that... Okay, actually, so Requiem, I'm going to come back to this in a second, but I just want to talk about point buy and stuff. In a lot of games where you build PCs with stats, often you have a point buy system where you have a certain amount of points and you can distribute them as you wish. However, in certain editions of Dungeons & Dragons, you can also randomly roll, which of course is a little dangerous because sometimes you get all shit rolls and then you have a shit character with shit stats, and I'm not salty about it. I'm just kidding. For added chaos, choose what the stat's going to be before you roll it. That's always a good time. No, sometimes you roll a bunch and then you go, okay, these are my 6. I'm going to assign them. Or 8 or whatever, you know. What's fun about that, I find, is that if you've randomly assigned statistics, Kaiser, I'm 100% with you. I will say, there's something really fun about, and I think this would be more for NPCs rather than PCs, because again, you need to love your player character. Otherwise, you're not going to have fun playing as that character. What's the point? For an NPC, though, it might almost be very interesting to randomly assign statistics and then look at the stats and go, okay, if I met a person in real life who was very dexterous but not very strong, very witty but not very smart, and incredibly manipulative and very charismatic. So I'm just making stuff up. What kind of person would that be? And the answer is Pyres. No, I'm just kidding. The kidding around, but like that would definitely, you might get an inspiration from there. Oh boy, there you go. See, Kung Fu Fenris did this, randomly rolling. Requiem also brings up a good point in Dungeons & Dragons, or, you know, very specific kind of like war-type role-playing games. There's often what's known as the Holy Trinity, right? I mean, well, sorry, this is also in like MMORPGs, right? There's a tank, a healer, a damage dealer, right? Because you have one person to take the damage from the opponent, one person to deal the damage to the opponent, and one person to heal both of them if things go south and support them in doing that. Woo! Yeah, exactly, Requiem. It's possible. Looking at the spread of your current, again, we're talking NPCs, right? So looking at the spread of the other the skills and assortment of things across the board that already exist might inform you as well. For example, in Starcloth, the Disconcordia Freehold, there is a Puka Wilder, who is a raccoon Puka Wilder, who is the Freeholder, a Knocker Grump, who is the TD, and a Sluagh Grump, who is the... I should double check those. I don't wanna be wrong about those things. Sluagh Grump, Knocker Grump, Puka Wilder, good. As the janitor. So I'm probably not going to pick that combination of Seeming and Kith for an NPC. If you want to pick that for a PC because you have a really fascinating concept and that happens to work well, I say freaking go for it. Again, as a player character, you want to enjoy and love playing your player character and grow in that character for as long as you can. Yeah, Kaiser, there you go. Contradicting results. That's always fun. One of the things they talk about in acting when you're analyzing a scene, right? You have to find certain things in a scene if you're doing a scene for an audition or in a play or whatever. What's your character's goal? What's stopping them from reaching that goal? How are they going to try to get what they want? Where's the love in the scene? You can't just be spiteful and hateful of everything. Even people who are spiteful and hateful of everything love something. Maybe it's themselves. Maybe it's their children. Maybe whatever, right? You find the love in the scene. And what are the contradictions? That's like, I feel it's a lot more cerebral. It's not always very useful. But like, sometimes it can be very fun to be like, wait a second, my character said they hated this person, but they're not leaving them. Why aren't they leaving? Maybe it's because they secretly also are fascinated. Whatever it is, right? Woo! A 3 in charisma. There it is. Okay, here we go. Theater Ghosts. Krister. Yes, the Slua's autograph book should be full. I wonder if Edgewick keeps an autograph book. Perhaps you will have to ask. So, getting back on track here. Woo! There you go. Sometimes, in terms of mechanical hooks, sometimes there are splats, types of character from whatever game you're playing, that go really well with a particular stat, right? So you're like, oh, I want to play a character that has this statistic, this attribute or this ability, and that naturally links up with this kith. Or maybe you go, and play that contradiction. Oh, I really want to play this kith, and normally they're really good at this, so I'm going to do the opposite. Off the top of my head, she, in Changeling and Dreaming, get +2 to their appearance. So that would lead you to think that you should play a she that has appearance 3, 4, or 5, so that you can have 5, 6, or 7 as your appearance. Don't have to. You can play a 1 appearance she. You get +2 to that, so you're a 3, but that would be very unusual. And then that would kind of suggest a potential story hook. Why did your character crystallize that way? Oh, pirate captain. Kung Fu Fenris. Is this Pisky? We're gonna talk about like sanctioning and like making sure that PCs are cool to play and stuff, but is this Pisky actively pursuing a career in the ballet? Or did they come from a career in the ballet? Just questions. So those would be my way-ins to creating NPCs. Fulfilling a need, that tends to be like unnamed PCs or PCs that become named, but they have a very specific purpose in the story, in the plot. Hey, Kung Fu Fenris, I always want to... If someone has a million ideas, I'm like, name one? Great, let's pursue that one. And then eventually they're like, no, I don't like it anymore. I'm like, okay, cool. Filling a need, story hook. What if my character had this past or goal or future or whatever, or lifestyle? And mechanical hook. Oh, I really want to play an NPC that has this ability, this art. Example, I think Autumn is a fucking awesome art in Changeling the Dreaming. Scott, I think it's awesome. I think I'm going to try to build an NPC that has a lot of dots in it, because I think that's, not today, but like, I think I will because I think it's cool. That leads me down a very specific path. Why would this Changeling have trained to increase their ability in Autumn? Or why are they naturally gifted at Autumn? Autumn is an art that has to do with death and decay, which is why I think it's awesome. Hey, boom! Yeah, Kaiser, I think so. Downtown, we have a large arts center called Place des Arts. I don't know... I think the Montreal Ballet Company is in pretty good shape in terms of it being like a quality ballet company. This may shock you, but I don't go to the ballet all the time. A troll stage director. Oh my god. I wonder where this concept is coming from, Crosshair. So Crosshair was going to go with a knocker PI Grump, who's on their last case. Great trope. Could be a lot of fun. I like the idea of a knocker as well, because they can, while they're on the case, they can like mod their flashlight or their gun or their car, at like just totally on their own, just in that moment. I'm not sure I want to play that. Great. As a PC, you have to be willing to ride it out with your character. A chaotic red cap punk woman named Mia Moore who wears gothic and metal clothing with a cutesy bunny motif. Again, Crosshair, I wonder what the inspiration is. I wonder if this is number 2, the story hook. Don't know. Something that Raparth mentioned, Raparth, if you're watching, this is now the part of the stream where I'm going to talk about this. Introducing the NPC. Let's say you've found a way in and you've built an NPC. You didn't stat them out fully because maybe they're not going to be... I mean, I'm super down as well, Crosshair. We're gonna, you know... Today's probably not the day again because we're not talking about building PCs today. But one of the things that's important to remember... Oh, good, Crosshair, good. Well, hopefully looking at the sheet a bit will help us all navigate it a bit more, because frankly, I don't remember a lot about... I have to remember how these things work. Hey, yes. You know who's great? Kate. Kate built an absolutely awesome character sheet for Disconcordia, and I just need to remember how it all works. I suppose we're gonna find out. Where is it? You know what? I'm gonna keep it on standby here, folks. Sorry, so I'm just looking for something whilst I do my thing. Ah, yes. Who, what, why, where, and when. Exactly. When is now. Kragod, hello! Welcome to Clinic Hours. Today we're talking building NPCs. Boom, there it is. Get to that in a moment. You're welcome. Introducing the NPC is an important point brought up by Raparth because building an NPC, as I mentioned before, you know, they serve different purposes for the point of the story. Maybe if they're about other players and yourself having fun, then they can be a bit more one-dimensional, maybe. Maybe that's okay. Elevator Slug, for example, is a fully fleshed out 3-dimensional character. Elevator Slug is, what if a slug ran an elevator? And it's brilliant, and we're very happy that it exists. But, you know, I'm not going to say there's a ton of depth to that character. I'm just saying. Not even sure if we would define it as an NPC. I guess we would. So, however, one of the important distinctions, again, between a player character and a non-player character is that, yeah, you've got to find, you know, as a player character, you introduce yourself to the other people around you. In the context of Disconcordia, there may be lots of player characters. It's not like every time you walk in a room, you have to be like, I am Sir Brom Madsden. Like, we don't care. You know what I mean? Like, you are allowed to just exist. A non-player character... That's correct, Requiem. That is very correct. An NPC has to be able to be immediately recognizable. What I mean by that, if they're a mystery that you want the players to try to solve, you have to give them a reason to want to solve the NPC right away. If they're supposed to be a potential ally, you have to give them a reason to want to ally themselves to you. If they're supposed to be an enemy, you probably should give them a reason to be an enemy. Kaiser, you take that back. Totes is the best character in the history of Exaltwitch Nexus. Raparth asked a number of questions in regards to introducing an NPC. How do you make your NPC interesting? Was the question. I'm going to split this into like a million sub-questions because interesting is a very broad general term. Do you want your NPC, as I mentioned before, do you want them to be engaging? Do you want them to be off-putting? What kind of reaction are you hoping to engender in the players? Again, again, this is, I'm going to go back to what I said just before, disclaimer, my process, not necessarily your process. But for me, I would identify what do I want people to do with this character. I actually would argue that I think John probably feels very differently about creating NPCs than I do in this regard. introducing characters in, say, Exalted Witch Academy or in Changeling the streaming, it wasn't immediately apparent all the time what we were supposed to feel about them. They were characters that existed in their own right, and we could interact with them in whatever way we wanted. How do you make an NPC interesting? The short answer is you give them access to something that the players need or want. The keys to the treasury, the directions to the dungeon, the hand of the princess. Not literally the hand, just like the the ability to, never mind, the access to the prime minister. The short answer is, if you need an NPC to be engaged when an appearance of 4 or 5, I mean, that always works for me, Osab. The short and the long of it is, if you need an NPC to be something that your players will engage with, you have to give them a legitimate reason to interact with them. If you walk into a room and just sit down and you're like, a very tall, blue-horned creature sits in the corner of the room stoically. Well, some people might be like, what's your deal, guy? Polly, want a cracker? You know what I mean? Like, some people might be weird about it. I don't know. But it doesn't necessarily give us anything to go on. If instead that same tall, blue-skinned, horned, stoic creature strode into the room and was just like, I'm taking over this freehold in the name of King Melch. I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. Then, that all of a sudden now they have something that you need. Requiem, exactly. Like, I'm saying this because, okay, here we go. Urban Shadows, Kaiser, is something I've actually always wanted to look into, so thank you for the reminder. The game has a favor economy, so PCs often get called to return to favored NPCs. Boom! In Exalted, I know that if you take the ally merit, if you take the contacts merit, you can call upon your contacts, and you generally get a bonus to your roll. I know a lot of the guild merchants in this region, so I get to add my dots if I need to find something that they would be able to obtain. Fine. If you have an ally, they're more powerful, but they're also a fully developed character. Therefore, they may need you. It's a two-way street. You can call on your contacts because you're better than your contacts, but you're not necessarily better than your ally. They can call on you too. I think that's fabulous, Kaiser. That's really cool. So the short answer for how will an NPC be interesting, you give them something that people need. The longer answer to this ties into the next question. Will the PCs want to keep this NPC around? And this comes back for me to goal. What's your goal with the NPC? If the goal is just to make people laugh, well, once you've made them laugh once, that's mission accomplished. They have to have a further, potentially they have to have a further goal than that. Right? I'm getting into Exalted Witch Academy. No, I'm not going to, actually. I'm not going to. I will say, sometimes NPCs are introduced with a hook that you might think the PCs will want to keep them around, and then they don't. That's possible. That gets into more storytelling and GMing. How do you deal with the fact that your players sometimes are, they do the opposite of what you think they're going to do? But will the PCs want to keep them around? I would argue that, again, that's not necessarily it's not necessarily a great attitude to have towards your NPCs, because it implies that an NPC is necessary somehow to the plot. I'm trying to think of an example where an NPC is actually necessary to the plot. If the key to unlocking what's a good example? In Changeling the Dreaming is a real place you can go, right? Arcadia is a real place you can go. It's the home of the Fae. Let's say there's a child, 5 years old, and within them, they have the key to getting into Arcadia. So you're like, I need my PCs to keep this NPC around, because it's critical to the plot. I would argue, and again, this goes back to just my process, I would argue maybe, like, what if that character, what if they leave them behind? What if they don't care about returning to Arcadia? What if they want to find their own way in? Ooh, here we go. Ellie Spot, here we go. Case of NPC intro that leads to no interaction. Man in the corner of Sybil's tenderness. I think he was introduced in multiple sessions before anyone interacted with him. Great example, Ellie Spot. I can remember that very clearly. I was like, in my mind, I was like, set dressing. Perfect. And I just left it because I had better shit to do. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's... So, as a storyteller, of course you can re-entice your PCs with more enticing information. Oh, you notice their coat falls open for just a brief moment before they tie it back closed, but you noticed a glimmer of something very shiny inside. That's enticing, but they get up to go to the bathroom and 85 watches fall out of their coat. It's a bit more enticing. Why there's so many watches? You know what I mean? Like, etc., etc. You discover that they are a Time Lord. Writes itself. It's the difference between NPCs having potential story purpose and NPCs acting as bottlenecks in the story. Kaiser, yes, thank you for being ever so much more eloquent than I am. I agree, and I think that's a great way to put it. Again, I'm not telling anybody how to run their game. This is my process. I would never want to introduce an NPC that was like, you better keep them around, you better like this character because I really like doing this dialect, or whatever. It's having a non-player character that is necessary to the plot feels like you're maybe hampering your own story a little bit, because maybe that's not the story the PCs want to tell. However, I will say this. If you want the player characters to keep your NPC around, you have to give them a reason to do so. That can be the non-player character has something that the player characters want. Again, I'm going to go back to that, right? The key to Arcadia is contained in this child. Or perhaps you give them an endearing character trait. This NPC really likes eating bread. Honestly, I'm shocked that is so affecting, and yet here we are on Exalted Academy. You give them a mystery, something that you know the other player characters, or the player characters, are going to want to find out more about, but you make it difficult. There you go. Something else to discuss when we're talking about introducing the NPC. And again, these are all Raparth questions, so thank you very much, Raparth. Player agency, and is an important thing to discuss here. If you obviously want to introduce cool characters, but you probably don't want to introduce NPC non-player characters that are so cool that they overshadow the player characters. Feels kind of bad. What am I reminded of? I'll come back to that in a second. Forcing an NPC on a group because you want to keep playing it takes you dangerously close to being a GM PC. Okay, we're talking very briefly. This is I saw some discussions on GM PCs lately on Twitter. I follow a lot of incredible role-playing content creators. I'm very specifically going to shout out Super Dylan, friend of the channel Super Dylan. Go follow. Great, exciting content coming out of there. Super Dylan opened up a conversation about this recently, because the notion that being a GM PC is intrinsically bad is an interesting conversation, I think. And it's not one that we can really have right now. But it does come back a little bit to what I was saying before. What's the difference between a player character and a non-player character? Or, more importantly, if you're the storyteller, what's your job at the table? Your job at the table is to help create the world in which your players are going to do things. Right? In a play or a movie or a TV show, the writer creates the world and the characters and the actions that those characters take. In a role-playing game, it's as if the actors, the player characters, are creating everything on the fly, improvising. But you are still crafting the world around them as they go. A GMPC, that would be a game master player character, or you as the storyteller playing a character in the story as well. The danger, and I think this is quite obvious, the danger is that because you are also in charge of some of the story elements, you're going to give your player character all the glory. Because you know what to do in order to succeed. There we go, Kaiser, yeah. It was a bad idea, says Kaiser. Fine, fair. Like, I think that's fair. It was also accidentally too powerful. There you go. The balance of power around a table when you're role-playing is, again, it's another very interesting concept and not one we have time to get into right now, because I do want to start building a character because I have a concept and I want to see how far I can kind of get into sort of determining what would be interesting. But it's not just, so power around the table is an important topic here. And I think it's a bit of a truism to sort of say that it is like people who should have power are also the people who do not want power. Kung Fu Fenris brings up an interesting point. How else are you going to have recurring NPCs? Aren't you, the storyteller, just playing a character if they come back a lot? Yeah, you're also playing other characters who might not come back a lot. It's true. It's an interesting point. I'm going to say this about Game Master or Storyteller PCs. You need to look at yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror, everyone. Go do that and come back, okay? I'm going to wait. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I think that's what I mean, Kung Fu Fenris. Yeah. The concept is that you as the storyteller are also playing a protagonist in the story that you are creating as you go. Yeah, sure, Captain. Yeah, turn the screen off for a moment. Keep hearing my voice, and I'll just guide you through this, okay? Deuteragonists. It's a great word. Requiem says having an NPC that outshines the group, not necessarily bad if it's for a purpose, like, say, to illustrate how bad the party is going to be at something. Exactly. Perhaps the party is not very good at politicking, and you've encountered a situation where they need to be able to politic. Well, unless you're willing to play in a game where maybe that's not going to work, or maybe you're willing to find alternate ways to compromise through it, perhaps you're going to introduce an NPC who has that ability. Great. I think it's a great point. I'm going to say this about GMPCs, or Game Master player characters. Look at what you're intending to do. If your intention is to play in a game and take actions because you want to see what effect they'll have on the world, you're a player. You're a player in the game. If your goal is to create characters that the player characters will be able to interact with and further their stories, you're a storyteller. That's the difference. Again, I'm not saying that you can't, like, the storyteller is a player at the table. But what's the point? What's the goal that you have at the table? It's really important. And this I haven't seen this too much, but like, it does happen quite a bit, and I know there's a lot of trauma out there from people who have had bad role-playing experiences. Trust me, I know. I haven't. I've been incredibly fortunate. I mean, I've been incredibly fortunate in a lot of things in my life. This is hashtag real talk, folks. Real talk. A lot of people have had a lot of bad experiences, and I think a lot of that stems from people who are playing without other people's fun in mind. If you can only have fun at the expense of other players' fun, I don't think that makes you a selfish role player. I'm going to say it. I promised myself before I started I wouldn't make too many big generalized sweeping statements, but here we go. If you can have fun within the context of other players having fun, that's great. Not using their word hole. Yeah, I haven't watched Crit Crab Kung Fu Fenris. That does sound fun, though. cool, but not cool, too cool is kind of what occurred to me when Raparth was talking a little bit about, creating NPCs. Your goal needs to be to highlight player characters. If you... This is tough because, like, oh, sick. Okay, cool, Kung Fu Fenris. I'm gonna, yeah, that's gonna be the rest of my evening, probably. If you're... I don't want to say, like, don't storytell if you want to play. That's not what I mean here. It's just, like, there is a distinction. Everyone's a player around the table, but storytellers have a specific set of guidelines and, like, objectives that they're trying to accomplish so that the game runs smoothly and well. Like, I'm trying to imagine when we were playing Changeling Dreaming, if, John had Kyoko in a scene and then was like, okay, Scott, Kyoko's gonna leave. She's gonna leave the Freehold. We're gonna sit with her for a while she wayfares to Mexico. There's a very powerful changeling there, and we're gonna watch her play out a scene where she negotiates with them for the safe release of your sons. As the storyteller, you've taken agency away from your players. That's a really extreme example, obviously, but it's important. I don't know. It seems really apparent to me. Always throw it over to your players. What do they want to do, right? Okay. I've talked a lot. Just gonna do this, and I can do this. I think it's time. Let's build. Let's talk what I said before, ways in. I wanted to try to create just like a hook for myself that had all three of those things I was talking about before. Fills a need, has a story hook, and a mechanical hook. I will start with the need. I feel like a theater, if it is a functioning theater company, needs an artistic director. An artistic director is the person who sort of oversees a theater company, not the corporate entity part of it, but the sort of artistic part of it. They select the plays for the season. They do all of the outward-facing, charismatic sort of like, inspiring the community to support their theater company. They often are also a director of said plays, that sort of thing. That was the need I felt needed to be fulfilled here in Starcloth. It is an active theater company, so... well, Kung Fu Fenris, I have a feeling there will be... It is a bar, after all. It's a freehold, and it's a theater, so I imagine there's like 2 bars, actually. No, there's a bar. So there's probably going to be several bartender NPCs. I want to talk about the need. An artistic director. My story hook. I'm just hoping this is going to work. Yeah, perfect. My story hook for myself. Well, if a changeling wants to be the artistic director of a theater company, why can't they work in the mortal world? So there's lots of answers to this, right? Like, maybe they can. Maybe they have a day job working as the artistic director of a small theater company, and at night they also AD like the big theater, the big changeling theater in town. But my answer to this, I wanted to know for myself, well, why would you have a changeling? Like, an artistic director is a relatively artistic job, right? I mean, obviously there's admin and, like, there's banality surrounding it for sure. Of course, like everything in the world. But why can't this one work in the mortal world? And that's how they obtain their glamour. Why do they have to be the artistic director of this theater? That also automatically calls to mind for me, maybe a bit of like a bit of a chip on their shoulder when it comes to other ADs, etc. I'm gonna skip mechanical here because I actually want to leave that for a moment. I'm just going to write NPC building, and we're going to get into it. I'm leaving it for a moment because I don't want to sort of spoil what I'm thinking here. Ta-da! Can everyone see what I'm looking at here? Yeah, perfect. This is a character sheet for Disconcordia. Ooh, I know, I'm so excited. So I will say, Pook, please, if you are still here and you know, when you're able to, whoa, where is it? There we go. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. Whoop. So you can still see me. Yeah, anyway, okay. I had lots of thoughts. I had lots of thoughts about this, but in terms of the way in for this character, I said to myself, what need will they fulfill? They'll be the artistic director of the theater company of Starcloth. So they will be in charge of envisaging what plays will be put on, how they're going to invite people in the community, one of the ways that the Freehold gains glamour. Perhaps they'll even be a little bit at odds with Zoe, the freeholder, because the freeholder obviously owns and runs the freehold, but the artistic director is typically the highest position in a theater company. This could be interesting. Scott. I'm going to put my name in there. That's easy. Where do I want to start? I had some thoughts, and so everything along the top here, this is all like concept-y stuff. Before you get into any sort of statting, these are the things that you typically decide on first because they inform the role-playing of the character and other thoughts about the character. Seeming is the thing that drew me first. Without me, you would just have an empty, derelict building. Toss scarf. I wanted to play a childling. My mechanical way in here was what's one currently underrepresented splat or thing quality in the NPCs. Again, there's only 3 established NPCs right now. A wilder and 2 grumps. A childling. I'm going to read directly from Changeling the Dreaming 20th Anniversary Edition. I really should have bookmarked these pages. That would have been much, much, much smarter. Is it just here? Yes. Childlings. You view the world with a deep sense of childlike wonder and are bursting with new ideas and enthusiasm. Sounds like someone who could be an artistic director to me. Now, as John has discussed on multiple occasions, and Pook, I believe, on that stream as well, discussed this, Childling, Wilder, and Grump used to be tied to actual physical age. They are no longer, which is good. It's more about your worldview. The analogy here is that for humans, children tend to see the world as possibilities, imaginations, and dreams. Wilders, teenagers, young adults, tend to see the world in terms of adventure, and then grumps, adults, seniors, tend to see the world as a place to settle down and build long-lasting kind of commitments to the world. I want to shout out... Oh, I'm very excited, Kung Fu Fenris, always and forever. Oh, yeah, hit us up. It brings to mind Sophia, one of the... Well, interesting. So, Giant Rat Guy, yes, one. Again, we can't have that Requiem. No book, no preparation allowed. Giant Rat Guy, as I was saying before, in earlier editions of Changeling the Dreaming, these seemings were tied to mortal age, and Grump began at 26. I very clearly recall getting a birthday card from one John Verrill on my 26th birthday being like, welcome to being a grump. And I was like, what the F, man? Because obviously I still had a baby face. And it was incredibly limiting. Pook's correct. If you were playing a childling and you had to be a literal child, well, that implies a whole lot about consent, sort of adult themes, adult content, romance. Well, it implies a whole bunch of stuff. And Pukajutsu also says here, it's true, the game used to imply that banality could take you out by a certain age. Take you out. That most changelings would die, recede into the mists, at a certain age. It's no longer the case, which is great. I'm super happy to report that being a child, your seeming is no longer tied to your actual physical age. So this character is probably going to be in their 20s or 30s, probably going to be a bit of a young upstart. Feels right. I'd like to join you on an adventure, but Mom said that breaking curfew, I can't do that. I can't even read this. Can't break curfew. That's what it says. There you go. I want to shout out Liz's PC from Changeling the Streaming, Sophia, because during her Chrysalis session, but also on other occasions, we got a sense of her character's past, much more so than the other two PCs. Her childhood. And I just want to point at young Sophia as the prime example of what a childling is to me. It's not just an energy and an enthusiasm, it's a sense of wonder about the world. So this AD is going to be a childling. Now, Kith is where it gets interesting. These are the various Kith that you can play. These are types of changelings. The way I would describe it is dreams of blank. They are certain kinds of obsessions that the human race have, certain kinds of monsters or mythological creatures would have been based on these types of changelings. Excuse me. Yeah. Pook's correct. Pook, I'm going to draw your attention to the golden rule. If you don't like one of these rules, change it. Disconcordia, the game, will run with a number of house rules in place. This is all detailed in the player's guide. Oh no, we can't attack the vampires because someone might get hoodie-woody. Crosshair. Infuriating. Kith. This was the conversation I then had with someone, Liz, in this house, where I said, okay, well, these two types of Kith stand out to me, right? Again, the types of Kith that immediately stood out to me for an artistic director would be an Ishu, the Traveler, the Story Weaver, or a Selkie. Selkies are, by definition, charismatic and beautiful. They also have sweet coats, which I feel like an AD would have a big sweet coat. Also, I like Selkies a lot, and I kind of want to play one. Straight up. However, we go back to the story hook. The story hook. Why can't this character AD anywhere else in the city? The suggestion I got from my partner in crime over there, Countess Sophia Aplium, maybe they can't AD anywhere because they've alienated themselves from the human artistic community. Why would you alienate yourself from the human artistic community? You can't stand bad theater, boring theater. You always get up and shout people down. You always go and give 8 other ADs a piece of your mind. Oh, thank you very much, Krister. It's so great to see you. Thank you. I'm sorry I made fun of Reggie earlier. Please don't stop supporting RPGClinic. Thank you so much. We love you a lot. What kind of changeling would be willing to fight at the drop of a hat? Another type of changeling that I've always wanted to play, a Clericon. I will read to you from the book. Thank you very much. Oh, do I have them here in the book? Yeah. Clericon, boisterous fae whose legendary carousing masks fierce loyalty. That's not a great description. I'm gonna jump back and have a look at it. Here we go. Theater snob, elitist. Oh god, the worst. There's lots of possibilities here, folks, right? And again, for me, this is not going to be a PC. It's going to be a non-player character, but it's definitely it has to be something that I want to play or I'm going to find interesting for various reasons. Where are you? Clericons. Of course, based on the stories of leprechauns, but we'll get into that a little later on. They love storytelling. They love a good old-fashioned brawl. They love collections. Appearance, lifestyle, I'm coming back into this. Childlings. Clericon childlings brim with humor and passion, not yet bridled by social constraints or tempered by experience. Their jokes are cruder, their stories less nuanced and lacking embellishment, and they're far better at starting fights than they are at resolving them. In this seeming, Clericon worry less about mastering crafts and focus more on trying a little bit of everything. Ooh, Kung Fu Fenrir says, an autumn she childling who has woke up again after being wrapped in banality earlier. Age 77. Okay. My immediate thought, Kung Fu Fenris, is only about the age of the human body, because of course changelings age at a different rate than humans, but I wonder if you might find yourself a bit limited in playing an older human character, physically for any reason or whatever. If you de-age that character just a little bit, I think it would still communicate the same process, but you wouldn't have a fleshy meat sack that's it's about ready to give out on you. Kidding. Again, awesome. So this is essentially a reawakened Autumn She. Implication might be that... Whoa, hang on. Oh, that's the reason why they got back into this. Oh, okay, there you go. Osab suggesting here, maybe they were secretly that problematic critic, got outed by someone and burning all their theater bridges. Well, again, great concept. Someone who is secretly a critic gets outed and then it's just like, oh shit, like now I can't kind of participate in the community. I really like the idea of playing someone a bit outspoken about their art because they think they can do it better. So I'm going to stick with kind of the idea that I have here for now, but we'll see how it goes. Clericon, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Birthright. I just want to talk a little bit about what we have. Actually, I'm going to quickly put these in while I have a sec, unless they already happen. Kate, look at these auto-populating. Birthrights and frailties. These are the natural powers that your kith has access to. Powers. Special abilities. Twinkling of an eye. Unless the Clericon is bound with iron, they can vanish in a blink, even from someone's physical grasp. Disappearing costs a point of glamour if you're being held or touched. Again, very useful in the context of getting out of meetings that they don't want to be in. Fighting words. After only a few moments, a Clericon can get a read on a person or group knowing exactly what to say to provoke a fight. The target can resist this with a willpower roll diff 8. It can be used to incite a fight between the Clericon and the target, or between the target and another person. So, again, this is kind of, I think, the crux of why I wanted to take a look at this AD being a Clericon. The idea is that they've burned all their bridges because they are willing to incite fights with other people to prove that they are more artistic or whatever. Frailty. Hoard. Collecting is not a mere hobby, it's a consuming obsession. What would an artistic director consume? Hoard. That would be a problem. Or that would make sense in this context. I'm going to suggest unperformed or unproduced manuscripts of plays. That's my current suggestion. It might end up being like New York Broadway memorabilia. It might end up being something else. I don't know. My thought currently is that this Clericon has in their possession a huge, like a vast number of scripts that they've they did playwriting competitions and they solicited scripts from new writers and whatever. And they can produce them, but they still want the original kind of manuscript. Cool. Hey, Mary. Jimmy says Shakespeare was a hack. How dare you, Tim? What the hell, Mary? What? And they start fighting. It's pretty good. Cool. Okay. Kung Fu Fenris, I like the idea you're balancing the sort of bedlam and forgetting kind of aspects of the character. Like that you're implying that they've already slid one way, so now they're sliding back really far in the other direction, trying to balance that pendulum. That tells me that there's a built-in goal for the character, right? It's to slide back in the glamour direction, but not too far. There you go. An old costume collection in the studio. Great point, Requiem. In fact, if we were... No what? Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Oh, it is. Oh, I'm sorry. Yikes. Play to fail. Kung Fu Fenris, I cannot deny that that is an absolutely wild thing to say for a player character, but I'm into it. I said at the top of the episode, you need to take risks. I say go for it. I will say, if you want your character to burn out, then you can have that happen very quickly. And then your character's gone, and you need to make another one. So the question is that your character's ultimate goal? In which, like, I guess what I'm saying is, Hergo, in Changeling the Streaming, wanted to ride the lead train to Fucksville. He wanted to get fucked up. He wanted to get shot. He wanted to die. He also wanted to be a great hero. Okay, Kung Fu Fenris, okay. Good. Okay, interesting, and I just want to make sure that it's, well, if that's something that you're considering, then we just definitely want to make sure that it's, for the... wrong button. Sorry. Just want to make sure it's for the right reasons. Captain, have a great night. Thank you all so much. Okay, I'm going to get back into it, folks, because I haven't actually done very much yet. Motley, not going to have. The legacies are the things that I wanted to pursue next. This character sounds unseelie to me already. They're an artist. Seelie and unseelie are concepts in Changeling. There's the two courts, Seelie and unseelie. The immediate thought is that it means good versus evil or law versus chaos. It's not quite like that, but there is an analogy to be made or a comparison to be made of law and chaos. The Seelie court believes in things like death before dishonor, love conquers all, more romantic ideals of life. The unseelie legacy, the unseelie court, believes that glamour, the stuff of magic, is free. They believe in... all right, Requiem, yeah, fair as well. I think that's useful. The unseelie court believe in passion before duty. I'm just quoting things that I remember, to be honest with you. But I think those are both pretty legitimate things. Neither one is good. You can have good or evil people on all sides, right? Tatiana, my queen! I'm going to have a look. So when you pick your court, Seelie or unseelie, your two legacies are what kind of help define your character. Define sort of like, in my mind, I see them as like role-playing kind of tips. And I feel like, again, for an NPC, it's going to be really useful to have a sense of what they want to try to accomplish. So I'm going to look through the unseelie legacies because I have a sense that this character is going to be unseelie because they seem to believe in passion and they don't mind fucking somebody up because they think they're right. In fact, I bet you that's a legacy. I'm right at all times. Oh, hang on. You know what? I'm not going to do this from here. I'm going to do this from my book. So there's my Clericon. I love it. We're going to need a great name for this character. I actually do have a really good idea already. That's houses. Here we go. Kith. Legacies. So there's all sorts of legacies on both sides. And I'm just going to see if one jumps out at me here. Rake. Your appetites will never be sated, but you do love to try. I think that might be it. Peacock. As long as everyone realizes you're the best, everything will be fine. This person potentially believes that they are the be-all and end-all of artistic merit. Now, I personally, Scott, have like an aversion to playing characters that are too self-absorbed because I don't like that in people. When people are so self-absorbed that they don't pay attention to others around them, I don't like it. But maybe I need to lean into that a little bit. Savage, Rogue, Ringleader, Riddler. Okay, so Peacock is jumping out to me as an unseelie legacy. If I look at the Seelie legacies, just to see if there's one that calls to me more for this character. God damn it, Gross. A troubadour. Life is an art form, and love is its practice. That strikes me like someone who loves things a lot. I don't know. Saint, Squire. Wayfarer, someone who travels. Sage, you share wisdom. Regent is rule. Panderer, making others happy brings you joy. Paladin, you live for the challenge of proving your skill. I'm pretty sure Braum was a paladin at heart. Panderer, yeah. Paladin. Orchid, purity and delicacy have a beauty all their own. I don't think he's a very delicate character. Hermit, a recluse at heart. You'd rather be left alone. That's a decent legacy for an NPC. I would be interested to see the PC who has that legacy, who wants to interact with other PCs. Dandy, you love setting trends and getting attention. Okay, the legacies are going to be Dandy and Peacock. I mean, so far, this makes a lot of sense to me. Because the goal is to play a character who is fulfilling a need. To play an NPC who is fulfilling a need, the artistic director of this freehold theater, the Starcloth. The story hook, why are they not allowed to AD in the mortal community? Well, it's because they're either a dandy or a peacock. They've offended too many people, they've fought too many people. And the mechanical perspective of, I want to play a Clericon Childling. Straight. Okay, cool. But which one is going to take priority? The court determines which of these two will take priority. I'm going to zip back and have a look at these in a bit more detail, because I think that's important for me. I just want to know, will it be after this? Will it be before this? I used to know this book like the back of my hand, and I don't any longer. Sad. Oh, sleep time. Okay, Kung Fu Fenris, it's super good to see you. We're not going to build this whole NPC today. I figured we might have a bit of time, but it is what it is. Dandy, the master of etiquette, but only as a means to an end. Oh, okay, maybe, well, okay. Yeah, rest up, Fenris. It's good to see you. Outgoing and gracious. Look out for opportunities to impress superiors. Quest. When you solidify your social standing or rise higher, regain willpower. Okay. Ban. Never pass up the chance to make yourself look good or impress a superior. Okay. Well, this is interesting, because who are they trying to impress? Right? Interesting. Okay. Let's look at our unseelie legacy that we chose for ourselves. The peacock is the loveliest, smartest, and best person in the whole world, and they know it. Quest. When you conclusively prove you are the best at something, regain willpower. Ban. Never admit failure or a fault. Yeah. So they're going to be unseelie. We're going with peacock first, dandy second. So this is currently someone who is excited and passionate about the world of dreams and the world of like dreams and creation and craft and art. They know that they are the best at this in the city, maybe even the whole region, but they're still on a mission to impress other people. They've got a chip on their shoulder. Boom. Okay, this is looking good. House, I'm going to leave blank. There's a lot of discussion there. I don't know if this person would be houseless or not, so I'm going to leave it. Name, I already had this prepared. I know, it's crazy. Bus. Oh, did I? This was the name of someone that I had thought about for a different game. Doesn't matter. Potentially a placeholder anyway. I might come back to it. Names are one of those things that, as we know from many years of RPG Clinic, a name is important because as humans we want to call people by their name. But sometimes if you're a PC and you are, or a PC, if you're the storyteller and you are creating multiple NPCs on the fly, sometimes you're like, oh, it's Alex. Oh shit, that other person's already called Alex. Okay, this is Bryant. Oh, there's already a Bryant. Okay, well this is fuckwit. Okay, this is fuckwit now. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can be hard to come up with names on the fly. I had this one prepared. Hey, what's your name? Oh, be back in 12 hours. All right, perfecto. So far, so good. Now, I think STs may have the ability to pump in a few extra dots here and there to their character. It's possible, but I'm not going to do that here because I feel like I want that to be a bit of a surprise if it is going to be something that's going to happen. You know, oh, surprise, they have lots of this, they have lots of that. Whoop, sorry. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this next step here. Lauren, Laurel, Lenore. Yeah, that's true, Ellie Spot. Okay, Kyoko. Hang on, there were so many more. Kind of that guy, like Sister. Oh, that guy. Ugh. Kian. Wait a second. Oh no, there's more than one Alex. This is Alexios, okay? Jeffrin. Sorry. Oh boy. Okay. Next, we're looking at attributes. Whoop. Oh, God, I knew Kate would have this here. What an absolute gem. At character creation, 7, 5, 3 dots to increase blah, blah, blah. Attributes are... It's not that they're not trainable. It's that they are meant to be representative of innate ability. That's not fair either, because if I scroll down to abilities really quickly, talents are meant to be untrained, skills are things that you develop over time, and knowledges are things that you study specifically. So attributes are characteristics that carry over between multiple different things. There you go. How's that? You can be dexterous while driving, while running, while fighting, or while making love, say, whatever. You can be manipulative while driving, running. Okay. You'll notice that they're in 3 columns: physical, social, and mental. At character creation, we get to add 7 dots to the primary sort of category, 5 to our secondary, and 3 to our tertiary. What jumps out to me immediately is a social, physical, mental priority. You're such a dexterous lover. I mean, it's Requiem, look, Stranger Things. I wonder if I want to go with physical instead. Someone who's going to be physically imposing. No. Social first. This is someone who gets by on the force of their personality rather than someone who gets by on their physical force. We only have a few minutes left of clinic hours, folks, so I'm not actually sure how much further we're going to get. I might just sort of start placing dots and see what happens. But this is a great moment as well for player characters to start thinking about, you know, what do you want your character to be able to do? Kate's obviously added here footnotes and stuff, right? Oh, no, this has to do with specialties and things. God damn it, Boog. I'm unprepared, and I'm hungry. But yeah, let's just jump in here. This is a childling Cluricon who is a peacock. Not a literal peacock, of course. This is someone who believes they are always in the right. They're willing to fight you about it. But they have a sense of childlike wonder when it comes to artistic expression in the world. I feel like this is a very unusual set of characteristics for an artistic director immediately. Yeah, Requiem's right. Never mind. 24-hour stream. Just kidding. I shouldn't say things like that. That said, what jumps out to me immediately is charisma and appearance. If I'm doing... hey, Aravana! Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Welcome to Creating NPCs, where we've been talking about creating NPCs, and I am now creating an NPC. I feel like charisma 4, appearance 4 immediately feels correct to me. That's 7 dots. Boom. We start with 1 in each attribute. You start in 0 of each ability, but that's, yeah. This is someone who, again, if I just kind of look at these dots, 2 is sort of like human average, so this person can maybe like lie or kind of cheat the truth out if they need to over time, from time to time, but mostly they're getting by on their force of personality. See, interesting, Aravana. I was going to go with 5 physical. Now, maybe I'm just rebuilding pyres at this point, so maybe I need to be careful of that. Let's look at the remaining attributes here. Strength, dexterity, stamina. Ooh, Requiem! We're getting there, we're getting there. Requiem, were you the person who said Clericon as well? Because this is going to get very spicy. If we did mental... Well, okay, let's talk about what attributes an artistic director would have. They would be very sensitive to artistic expression. They would... Well, this is getting very spicy then, isn't it, Requiem? But dots don't make a character. Just saying. Wits... Okay, well, let's look at mental then. Perception is your ability to perceive things, to sort of notice the world around you. Intelligence is your learned intelligence or abilities. Wits is the ability to think on your feet. Wow. Hashtag burn, Crosshair. Let me think about... This is a good point as well. I want to draw inspiration from the ADs and the directors that I know in the real world. Directors tend to have vision. They tend to, although I know a lot of soft-spoken directors as well, they tend to believe quite fervently in the reasons why they're creating their work. None of that really corresponds to these, necessarily. Oh, I get to choose, I get to choose specialties as well. Yeah. Everyone makes a good suggestion here. 4 wits, 2 perception, and 2 intelligence. Do I want to give this character a 1? This is the other question one must ask oneself when creating a player character or a non-player character. It's a good question, at least, Spot. I don't think I can get... Oof. So I might use some artistic license as a storyteller to give this person a couple extra dots in their attributes, right? He is a childling. It does say in the book, childling clericons are more likely to start fights than end them. So let's go with 2s across the board in their physical stats for now. So they're not particularly physically imposing, but they do light up and capture the room. Let's just go with this for now. I like the idea of someone who... He wouldn't be thought out, that's the thing. He's just like flying by the seat of his pants, right? So if I took wits 4, then I would have... Yeah, Aravana, it's a good suggestion. Again, we're going to go with this because I want to scroll down to the abilities. Abilities. Again, storytellers reserve the right to have extra dots because they may have been in the world a bit longer, even as a childling. We'll see. Again, we choose either talents, skills, or knowledges to... Oh no, Requiem, I'm sorry. Oh, oh that's true, Aravana. Again, we're not going to get there, folks. I'll probably just do this, and then I'll keep thinking on it. But today's stream is mostly about what it means to try to create an NPC. And again, I'm thinking now, I'm thinking about it a little bit as like, you know, I am getting into that trap of thinking about this as a PC, someone I would want to play. What's the purpose of the character? The purpose of the character is to sow a bit of discord, haha, pun intended, in the freehold. Because they're not the freeholder, but they believe very strongly in that their word is law when it comes to the art that is done at Starcloth. Abilities. So again, we choose categories, right? Knowledges, skills, and talents. Talents are things that you have innately. Skills are things that you develop over time, and knowledges are things that you study or train in. Ellie Spot, I am ready I am ready and willing. And then that's when you discover I've already upped all my stats and I've taken huge amounts of arts and I'm going to kill you. It's going to be great. 1395. All right, let's have a look. I'm just going to quickly zip through here. What would I definitely have access to? In the knowledges, I am going to go in reverse order because I feel like as changelings, and again, maybe I'm wrong here, I feel like people tend to prioritize talents first and knowledge is last. So I want to go in reverse order just to make sure I don't miss anything. Knowledge is things that we train in, right? Academics, they might be somewhat well read in the classics of theater. Computer, no, probably not. Enigmas, probably not. Greymare, he would need to know some Greymare. Investigation, law, medicine, politics, science. Nope. Technology? It's possible. Requiem is actually a good point. It makes a really good point here as well. And you can tell that I haven't built a lot of NPCs for the purpose, right? Is that how important is it for an NPC to have a fully statted sheet? Are they going to be there all the time? I don't know. I'm gonna leave this for now, folks, because I want to consider arts and stuff a bit as well. I want to consider what this person would do, but I think just even this top part of the sheet is something that I'm quite proud of. Like, I'm quite excited to see where this NPC goes next. Sorry, because I know everyone's gonna probably be like, I know everyone's probably like, oh, come on, like, I want to see more of this sheet. Again, the context here is that Disconcordia is a large live role-playing server where you play not by post, but in real time. Most of the PC fun is going to be having fun with other PCs. You know, what kind of mischief can you get up to, or what kind of adventures can you go on, or what does it mean to get to know other characters and learn about them, right? Kaiser, interesting. Yeah, I have 5 in everything because I never tell you what's on my sheet. So just basically when you ask, I start marking 5s down. Then you're like, test is animal ken. Test is investigation. Damn it, find 5. Shit, 5. Oh, I'm out of points. Yeah. So, okay, this has been a lot of fun. I think, again, I think my inexperience is showing a little bit in terms of not having created a ton of NPCs. Again, I think of the one-shots I've run on RPGClinic, and a lot of those NPCs were created for reason number 1, need. Oh, I need a character to be in this room. I need a non-player character to have something bad happen to them to frighten the other PCs. Whatever it is, right? But in the context of this server, I wanted to create someone who fulfilled the need of an artistic director for the theater. The story hook of why would they be the artistic director at a changeling theater? Probably not a very financially lucrative opportunity. Yes, Requiem, hit me up. And third, mechanically, wanted to play a childling and a clericon. Boom. Here we go. Interesting to see in here, says Crosshair. It's more akin to the inner machinations of a player to a GM brain. There you go. RPGClinic as a channel is all about learning. I want to say teaching, but like it's not so much teaching if you're not coming at it from a place of like, you know, like vast knowledge and so on all the time. But we are attempting to create a channel that is inviting, welcoming, and helps people improve their own game as sort of a secondary goal to the primary goal, which is have fun and be safe. Look into Exalted 3rd Edition. Quick characters. It lays out what's necessary for an NPC. Thank you, Requiem. I really appreciate hearing that. That is a great idea, and I'm going to do that. Because I will be one of the STs in Disconcordia, so I would like to know what it means to everyone else to have NPCs created as well. There you go. There you go. Aravana. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to start the creation process because I'm like, okay, how do I translate these little bits and bobs into something that's actually on a sheet because it has to be in the world of Changeling. Oh, OSAB. That huge recommend, folks. Canadian television series called Slings and Arrows, 3 seasons. One of the kids in the hall, Mark McKinney, has a role. Paul Gross, and tons of incredible Canadian actors. It's set at a fictional Canadian theater festival. And it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Go watch. It's a lot of fun. There you go. Boom. Yeah, so I just wanted to sort of start my process of converting an idea onto the sheet that it has to be on. Even, again, as Aravana points out, we don't need stats for everything necessarily. Folks, that's going to do it for today's early Rachel McAdams. Very young Rachel McAdams, yes. Awesome. Hey, you do great job. Thank you, Crosshair. Thank you all very much for joining me today on Clinic Hours. As per the earlier post from the Crosshair, tomorrow at 1800 Eastern over on Elizabeth A. Neal at twitch.tv. We're going to be continuing the Punch Effect, possibly even finishing the Punch Effect. On Saturday, it's Drew Crew and it's Doomed. And then on Sunday, right here, it's a new episode of Exaltwitch Academy. I appreciate everyone letting me share my insight and my thoughts with this community. It's a beautiful community and I love it a lot. So I'm going to thank you all very much. I'll leave you with some cool tunes as we head out. But thank you all very much. If you have questions or thoughts or concerns, or if you want to roast me for my storytelling style, head on over to the Discord. I obviously don't want people to roast me for my style, but I'm always down for some constructive criticism. Farewell to everybody. Drink lots of water. Keep yourself safe. And we'll hopefully see you throughout the weekend for lots of fun streams. Talk to you later.